All right, and welcome into the Trade Block, our interactive edition of the Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast. In this episode, we're going to break down the current Dynasty fantasy football landscape and let you know the biggest risers and fallers through the first 5 weeks of the season so you can trade with confidence moving forward. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, joined by one of our Dynasty experts here at Fantasy Pros and a man whose bloodlines certainly carry deep through the Big Ten Conference. It's Pat Fitzmaurice. Fitz, how are you today as we approach week 6, and how have the Dynasty teams been treating you through the first little bit of the season here?
Yeah, Seth, I'm doing great. I don't know if we want to get into Big Ten football, considering I'm a downtrodden Wisconsin fan. Your Penn State Nittany Lions are having a rough go of it the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, let's move on and talk about other stuff. But my Dynasty team, it's kind of a mixed bag. I've got a couple of contenders and a couple of rebuilders. How about you?
Oh, man, this is one of those years that I thought in my home Big Money Dynasty League was going to have an absolute rocket of a team, was projected to be the top team according to our Fantasy Pros suite of tools. Has not gone that way. I am just going up against monsters every week, scoring the most points. I'm 1-4, so not good, but I have too good of a team to sell. So kind of just in that no man's land right now, if you would, Pat.
Yeah, I hear you. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
The team I'm probably most excited about, I thought I was sort of on it was never a teardown, but it was kind of I thought it was going to be a 2-year remodel. Might not be a 2-year remodel because the rookie draft, I had 4 of the top 16 picks and got Tetero McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, Tyler Warren, and Cam Skattebo. Wow. So I've been kind of retooling on the fly, and all of a sudden that team is like 4-1, and I think I'm the highest scoring team in the league right now.
Well, good for you, man. And isn't that just fantasy football for you? Whenever you think you have it figured out, you never do. So excited to break it all down with you today, Pat. The show does look like this. We'll react to the shifting in this month's Fantasy Pros Dynasty trade value chart for roughly the next 30 minutes. Then we'll go ahead and, of course, take your Dynasty trade questions right here on the Fantasy Pros Discord channel for the back half of the show. And quick shout out to everyone riding alongside us on the YouTube channel or the audio feed. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this type of content, and make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. Also, thank you to everyone hanging out with us in the Fantasy Pros Discord community. If you'd like to get in on the action and come be a part of a future show, just head to fantasypros.com/chat to get yourself started. And let's go ahead and dive into the latest edition of the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Trade Value Chart. And let's start with the quarterback position. The top 4 remain largely unchanged. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jane Daniels, they're your headliners. And of course, Jalen Hurts, he has snuck into that 4 slot. However, we do have a new quarterback 5, Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. He is up 2 spots after pacing as the quarterback 11 through 5 weeks. Fitz, it was a really, really strong start to the season for Herbert and company, especially down there in Brazil against the Chiefs. This new look Greg Roman called offense has been fantastic, but they have had a couple lackluster matchups over the past 2 weeks. What is it for you that you're seeing out of the former Oregon Duck that makes him a riser for you in the Dynasty streets?
I think what we like about him is that now, while exquisite arm talent, and he adds rushing value too. That's what we like about him. But we were worried maybe that he was going to be buried in a run-heavy offense with Greg Roman. Not so much. The Chargers are they're among the highest ranked teams in pass rate over expected this year, which we certainly would not have expected from a Greg Roman offense. So that's been really nice that they've been pass heavier, and maybe part of their willingness to be pass heavy is the emergence of Quentin Johnston, who has given Justin Herbert a really nice trio of wide receivers. Ladd McConkey, who's been a disappointment so far, but we know how good he is. Keenan Allen, who's aging like fine wine. And then Quentin Johnston, who is just finally putting it all together, flashing the tools we knew he had. So, wheels up for Herbert. Like all those a toolsy quarterback to begin with, and now he's in an environment that's really letting him shine. But yeah, you mentioned it. The only problem right now, offensive line injuries. Joe Alt, probably a top 10 offensive tackle in the league, and that's the second star offensive tackle they lost because they lost Rashawn Slater in training camp. So protection is a big issue right now. They just need to keep Herbert intact going forward and hopefully get Alt back eventually.
Yeah, Greg Roman showing us that people can change, Pat. So that's been great to see, and good to see Justin Herbert rising up the ranks here. We also have another quarterback slowly trickling up these dynasty value charts as well. New England Patriots quarterback Drake Maye. He is now right behind Herbert and also up 2 spots. Fitz, Maye is sitting as quarterback 7 overall through 5 weeks this season. Obviously, you and I are both big proponents of the second-year quarterback in redraft, but what do you see from him from a dynasty lens moving forward?
He's actually my quarterback 4, and I personally have him ranked ahead of Justin Herbert. And I think he is just a star in the making, if not a star already, Seth. Like, the arm talent is amazing, the decision-making, and the way he can process under fire. It's beyond his years, really. Like, he's this young quarterback and he plays like he's 28 or 29. And it's just been so impressive to watch him do it. And he can like zip a bullet if he needs to, or he can layer a throw and get it between levels of the defense perfectly. Now it's helping him a lot that we're starting to see Stefon Diggs play a little more. They limited his snaps in the early weeks of the season after last year's ACL tear. But now Diggs is back and starting to make an impact, kind of starting to be the same sort of receiver for Drake Maye in 2025 that he was for Josh Allen in 2020, which was the year Josh Allen made the jump to superstar. And I think we're seeing Drake Maye take that same jump this year.
Yeah, and as soon as the New England Patriots decide to continue to surround him with even better and better weapons, I think Drake Maye is going to continue to ascend here, and he's still doing it with his legs too here, Fitz, especially when he gets inside that goal zone. He always has a nose for the end zone, it seems, whether it's, squeezing one in to Stefon Diggs, Hunter Henry, or just taking it himself. He knows how to find that pay dirt there, and that's great for fantasy value as well.
Yeah, definitely. And he's actually been almost a little less aggressive running than I thought he would be, Seth. Like, he was super aggressive running at North Carolina, about 10 rushing attempts a game. He has not been quite to that level here, but it's because he is a real quarterback. He goes through progressions and like he wants to do it through the air, and rushing is kind of a last resort. It's a lot different than what we're seeing from Jaxson Dart, where it's one read. If it's not there, Jaxson Dart just takes off. Like, Drake Maye is 100 times more advanced as a passer than Jaxson Dart is right now. And that's kind of the difference, and maybe why it's not quite been a rushing bonanza, but it's been more of a nice bonus. And like you want that rushing ability out of a quarterback. We get that out of Drake Maye, but we're getting great passing numbers too.
Yeah, let's talk about a quarterback, though, that we're not seeing a lot of rushing from, not seeing him on the field at all. It's Joe Burrow. He is not now fallen from the quarterback 4 in the preseason dynasty trade value chart down to quarterback 8 for you, Fitz, here. What do dynasty managers do if they do have Joe Burrow? Obviously an elite talent when out on the field, but he has essentially suffered his 3rd season-ending injury in just 6 years now.
I know, it's really frustrating. I think you just have to sort of hold. I think the drop in his value sort of reflects where we're at with Joe Burrow right now. Still one of the best passers in the game, but and still a fairly young man. Like, he's still got a lot of good years ahead of him if he can stay healthy, has those excellent weapons. Just a matter of him like being back, but I don't think we're going to see it. Like, the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco today, Seth, a few hours before we record this. I do not think Joe Flacco is going to keep the Bengals afloat in the AFC playoff chase. So something tells me we're probably going to see Joe Burrow shut down and not playing again until 2026.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. If you are a Joe Burrow manager right now and you're in contention, are you floating out offers to try to get something back that you can play this season, maybe try to acquire some future picks? Like, what's the prescription here if you do have Burrow as your leading quarterback in a Superflex league, Pat?
Yeah, in one QB, I mean, if you can get anything from the trade market is always soft in one QB for quarterbacks. It's just hard to really kind of hard to deal them and get anything in return just because the supply is so abundant. In Superflex, I'm probably just hanging on to him. Like, I have him in the FantasyPros in-house Dynasty League, and I'm just kind of sitting on him. And that team is kind of in purgatory anyway. Like, I'm 2-3 right now, and maybe I can sneak into the playoffs, but I'm not going to win the championship. So I'm just kind of sitting tight on Burrow rather than selling him for 80 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, that might be all you have to do. And it's tough because like the middle is the worst place to kind of be in dynasty fantasy football leagues. Yep. You really want to be towards the top end or towards the bottom end that you can acquire some early rookie picks. But if you're with Joe Burrow right now, you kind of have to hold him because we know what the upside is when he's out there on the field. Fitz, I also want to talk about these rookie quarterbacks here, Jaxson Dart of the New York Giants and, of course, Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans. Fitz, you've now moved Dart ahead of Ward on the trade value chart. So is there some buyer's remorse for managers who went Ward over Dart in rookie drafts this season, or do you think maybe this flips back around on its head?
Yeah, so now just as a reminder, so the trade value chart is an amalgam of the dynasty rankings of myself, Andrew Erickson, and Derek Brown. Derek Brown is a big Jaxson Dart advocate. So I still have Cam Ward ranked one spot ahead of Jaxson Dart at QB 15, and Ward QB 15, Dart QB 16. But no doubt, Debro has Dart higher. So, like Dart can run. We've seen that. And we're not going to see very pretty passing numbers from him. I mean, his yards per attempt right now is 5 something. And it's not fair to judge him on that. He doesn't have Malik Neighbors now. So he's getting thrown into the fire. I mean, the next 3 weeks, he's got the Eagles twice and the Broncos once. And he's got to do that with Wan'Dale Robinson, and I think Jalen Hyatt, because now Darius Slayton is hurt too. So he's just trying to fight with one arm tied behind his back, basically, and he's just going to do this one read and run thing for a while. He's going to give us rushing value, but the passing numbers won't be pretty. I think it's going to be hard to judge him, but like the rushing is what we are looking for, and that appeals to us. Cam Ward obviously really hamstrung by his supporting cast. There have been flashes of it. Had that nice throw to Calvin Ridley late in the game to spring the upset on the Cardinals. And there are moments, but he's also trying to play hero ball, which was kind of one of his flaws in college. Like he would hold the ball a little too long, make throws like off his back foot, off balance, across the field. They're mistakes, and we're going to see a lot of those, but like the raw tools are pretty impressive. And I do have hope for him that he's going to develop into a franchise quarterback for the Titans.
What do you think it takes? Do you think it takes more help from a pass catching perspective, or do you think it's a change at coach? You know, we saw Brian Callahan might be on the hot seat, and then just the incredible comeback and kind of the Cardinals' demise here this past week potentially elongated his tenure there in Music City.
Yes, and maybe some new offensive linemen too.
Okay, fair enough. Last quarterback here I wanted to chat about is Daniel Jones of the Colts. QB8 in scoring this season. The Colts are currently 4-1. Did not see this coming at all. I don't know how many people did have this on their 2025 bingo card, Fits, but is there staying power for Danny Dimes beyond 2025, or is this one of those situations, if you're not a contender, do you maybe ship Daniel Jones out and just kind of start collecting draft assets for him?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not a contender, I do think maybe he is a good player to move because his value is probably higher right now than it will be a year from now. I don't know. I mean, I do believe in redemption stories, Seth. We've seen it to some degree with Sam Darnold. Maybe he can be redeemed. And, Shane Steichen had the reputation as a quarterback whisperer until Anthony Richardson kind of made us wonder and question that reputation. But now he has helped Danny Dimes orchestrate a remarkable comeback. And if he can get the Colts into the playoffs, maybe they do extend him and keep him around a little while, and because they've got a lot of the other pieces in place on this team. So, yeah, I mean, there's some immediate value and perhaps some future value too. But if I'm not in contention, especially in Superflex, I'm definitely shopping him around.
Okay, and by now, most of you probably already heard of Reality Sports Online, the powerful fantasy sports platform where managers actually get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it yet? It's time to go see what all the buzz in the Dynasty community is about. Free agency, multi-year contracts, a rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, automated contract and salary cap functionality, and much, much more. Think it sounds complicated? It's not. And the best thing about Reality Sports Online Fantasy Front Office is that it takes no more time than a standard league. It just requires a bit more strategy. If you think you're among the fantasy elite, well, this is the platform to test your mettle. Still not sure? You can test out your GM skills for free in a mock free agency auction. If you like what you see, use the promo code FantasyPros and you're going to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Again, that's promo code FantasyPros to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. Let's move to the running backs here, Fitz, where Jonathan Taylor, a resurgent season is underway. He has moved up mightily in the rankings for the Dynasty trade value chart among the consensus right now, up to RB4, currently RB2 on the season, behind only Christian McCaffrey in scoring, leads the league in rushing, and also has seen a return in his pass catching volume as well. Is JT back for good? Your former Wisconsin Badger. Is he back on your good side, Pat?
I would like to think he's back for good, Seth, and part of it is that he has not had any reoccurrence of the ankle issues that have plagued him in recent years. So, yeah, that has been good, and like you said, they have been getting him involved more as a pass catcher, which was it's never been a real strong suit for him. Didn't do a lot of that at the University of Wisconsin, but they are using him in that capacity now a little bit, and it boosts his value. But yeah, he is just as we used to say that Nick Chubb was maybe the best pure runner in the NFL, I think there's a strong case that Jonathan Taylor is that guy now.
Yeah, and only 26 years old. He'll turn 27 by the time the full NFL season is up. So is he someone you're still looking to hang on to, whether you're a contender or a rebuilder, or does it really only make sense in those situations where you can go win a championship in the next couple of years? Yeah,
I mean, so he's maybe prime to late prime of his career, but I don't think you necessarily are automatically shopping him if you're not in contention and have him. Like, yes, you could probably get an excellent haul for him if you try to deal him this week, but he could also potentially be a building block for the future. Might owe it to yourself to at least shop him around a little bit and see what you could get for him. But if you want to just hang on to him, I'm cool with that too.
We also have Cam Skattebo, maybe one of the most fun players to watch this season. Tough downhill runner, just like he was at Arizona State last season when he led them to a Cinderella CFP run. And we've also seen him have a lot of pass catching utility this season as well. And currently the RB17 on the season sits right there, RB17 in the Dynasty trade value chart. What is it about Skattebo that has made him a top 20 Dynasty running back and pushed him ahead of other rookie running backs that were taking ahead of him in rookie draft season like RJ Harvey?
That run catch utility and how dang hard he is to tackle, Seth. Like, he is such a load to bring down. Really fun player. Like, we haven't seen a lot of breakaway runs from him yet, a lot of explosive runs. And I'm wondering if that's just something we're not going to get at a high rate from Skattebo, or if that's more because, defenses you don't really have to honor the pass right now with the Giants with a rookie quarterback and no Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
So he is not getting a lot of room to run there, a lot of heavy boxes lined up against him. And, I think maybe that might explain the lack of explosives so far. But, man, is this guy tough. He can shoulder a heavy load and has been shouldering a heavy load. And, yeah, he does give you some pass-catching value, too. So, really excited about him as a long-term asset.
And speaking of rookies, Pat, maybe no rookie has fallen further on the Dynasty trade value chart so far this season than Kaleb Johnson, who has just 21 rushing yards on 8 attempts and is the clear RB3 on the Pittsburgh Steelers depth chart behind both Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren, fresh off an extension. Is there still hope, maybe, though, that the future could be bright for the 2024 Big Ten leading rusher?
Yeah, I mean, we thought that he was going to be a good fit in Pittsburgh with their, probably a run-heavy ethos under Arthur Smith. And it hasn't worked out. And then he certainly did himself no favors with that. I think it was week 2, the botched kickoff return against Seattle, where he just let a ball in the landing zone go, and Seattle dove on it for a touchdown, and a game that they lost by 9 points. It turned out to be a really costly move. And now he's kind of doghoused. And it didn't help that when Jaylen Warren was hurt, when they were playing in Ireland a couple of weeks ago, we saw Kenneth Gainwell step into the breach and have a really big day. So now he is kind of buried as the clear third running back for Pittsburgh. I don't think anyone's going to get their money's worth out of him this year, barring, probably more than one injury in that backfield. And I don't know what his long-term prognosis is. He was kind of a polarizing prospect. A lot of people liked him, but some didn't. So I don't know. I thought he was a decent prospect, and I'll Go Pack Go is in our chat right now, Seth, asking if he would trade away Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for Kaleb Johnson and Matthew Golden. Now think of how preposterous that would have seemed back during rookie draft season. Golden and Kaleb, like a 2 late first round guys, or maybe, Golden slid into the early second in one draft for Krosky-Merritt, kind of a guy who just on buzz value was maybe going in the late third round. So, it does not seem like, I don't know, a crazy deal. He would be getting Golden and Kaleb, and I think I'm probably doing that, taking Golden and Kaleb for Krosky-Merritt, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the right call, actually, because maybe Krosky-Merritt is really good. And right now, I think he clearly has a lot more value than Kaleb Johnson. So not dead for the future, but yeah, things look kind of bleak right now.
Yeah, one of those situations for sure where you kind of just have to hold on and hope for better days ahead from Kaleb Johnson. I still think he fits this Arthur Smith zone running scheme very well. It just might take some time, man. We saw it last year with Roman Wilson. We thought maybe he would finally creep up into the Steelers' pass-catching pecking order this season. He hasn't as well. And, I don't want to say, I don't want to doubt Omar Khan, right? Like, Omar Khan, one of the better general managers, I think, in the league usually. So I still think there is some talent here with Kaleb Johnson. I think I'm with you that I would take the Matthew Golden and Kaleb Johnson side of that trade with relative ease, just because... Look, I mean, we've seen day 3 running backs have their place in the NFL, but it's usually not a long-term asset you want to tie a lot of capital into. So, yeah, definitely would probably favor that Kaleb Johnson and Matthew Golden side of things, but just goes to show how much things really do change in a hurry in the Dynasty and fantasy football landscape as a whole. Last running back here to touch on, Pat, Isiah Pacheco, who I think a lot of people were expecting maybe a bounce-back season, getting him back healthy from that injury. It has not been the case, though, so far this season. 38 on the RB list for the trade value chart, averaging just 7.3 fantasy points per game, outscored by Kareem Hunt so far this season, who just found the end zone twice on Monday night. Brashard Smith continues to get more and more work in the passing game as well. So is this a situation with Pacheco that he's gone after this year, after his contract expires? Maybe the Chiefs reload at running back, find their RB of the future to kind of groom there under Patrick Mahomes, or could Pacheco maybe settle for a veteran-friendly deal, stay in Kansas City here, and he still has relative value for a few years to come? What do you think the likely outcome is for the man out of Rutgers?
I don't know if they're going to keep him or not, Seth. If I were a Pacheco investor, I think I would actually want him to move on, because right now, he hasn't been the same guy that he was pre-injury, although maybe he's a little closer to it now. He's just not getting enough high-value touches in Kansas City. They give Kareem Hunt the goal line work, and Pacheco doesn't really get enough receptions to move the needle as a pass catcher. So I think it would be best if he moved on, but I think it's probably good if we just sort of give up any pretense that he's going to go back to being a featured guy. I think he's going to be a committee back going forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how, again, kind of another day three running back who popped up on the scene and had a good year or two for fantasy managers and slowly just kind of seems to be running out of gas here at the professional level. So bummer to see that, but Isiah Pacheco still might be a guy you can potentially go out and sell for something right now, but it might be best just to hold until his value comes back up to water level. Let's go to the wide receivers, though, here, Pat, where we have to start at the top. Puka Nacua has moved from wide receiver 8 in the preseason Dynasty trade value chart all the way up to wide receiver 1, currently holding the same value as Ja'Marr Chase and Justin Jefferson after a start to the season that has just been otherworldly, averaging 26.9 fantasy points per game. Still, though, a lot of unknowns here with Puka long-term. Matthew Stafford, he'll be 38 by the end of the NFL season. And at the same time, we don't know what the long-term prospects is for Sean McVay. We heard the rumblings a couple years ago. He might be heading to TV sooner rather than later. So with all that said, is Puka Nacua your Dynasty wide receiver 1? Is this a chance to maybe sell him at his high point, or we just letting the good times roll here, Patty?
I think we're letting him roll, Seth. He is my wide receiver 1 now, and I do think it's pretty close with Chase and Jefferson, but he is it's hard for me to fathom circumstances in which Puka Nacua doesn't work. You know, I mean, it could be he could take a major quarterback downgrade. He could take a coaching downgrade, and I think he's still going to be featured in whichever offense he's in and catching a lot of passes. I mean, right now, he's on pace for almost 200 receptions. It's absurd. Like he's double-digit receptions in 4 out of 5 games and his low water mark in reception. His worst game was 8 for 91. Like that was his worst game of the season, Seth. Like he is just an absolute machine.
Yeah, in a season where a lot of early value wide receivers have certainly disappointed, I would take that stat line every single week in my wide receiver 1 slot. So Puka Nacua, he continues to do it, continues to be really a renaissance for these late value guys who have popped up and just been absolutely sensational despite not having a ton of draft capital coming into the NFL. Also, speaking of draft capital, someone who did have what people would call maybe questionable draft capital, Emeka Egbuka, landed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think everyone questioned, what are they doing here with this pick? They have a lot of needs on that defensive side of the ball. They have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin re-signed as well, but Emeka Egbuka has been maybe the biggest riser in Dynasty rankings over the first month or so of the season. Wide receiver 17 to wide receiver 8 on the trade value chart after pacing as the wide receiver 3 overall through 5 weeks here, man. Now above players like Nico Collins, Drake London, and even Tedero McMillan, who is the consensus wide receiver 1 of the 2025 rookie class. So, Pat, it seems like Dynasty managers got an absolute smashing value here on Emeka in rookie drafts and redrafts this season, right?
Yes, and right now on our updated Dynasty trade value chart, Seth, Emeka Egbuka has the same value as Ashton Genty, the consensus number 1 pick in Dynasty rookie drafts in 2025. And man, I mean, like I find it hard to argue that, and I think there's a pretty good case to be made that I would rather have Egbuka than Genty right now.
Wow.
But I mean, I could argue either side of that one, I guess. But man, like, who would have imagined that he would have sort of flown by Marvin Harrison Jr. in terms of perceived Dynasty value?
Right. I mean, we've seen so many of these good Ohio State wide receivers come out, you know, JSN, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. And Emeka is slowly making his case to be among those next elite coming out of that Brian Hartline called offense there at Ohio State. So it's been sensational. Do you think this is the highest his value ever gets, though? Because we've kind of seen this before with other of these Ohio State wide receivers. Chris Olave, I think at one point was probably considered a wide receiver 1. Obviously, health issues, a bad coaching staff down there in New Orleans have kind of pushed him down, but is this the peak? I hate to be, play devil's advocate here, Pat, but sometimes I have to ask these questions because we do see these peaks more times than not with rookies. I mean, look at CJ Stroud. I think he was quarterback 4 in his rookie year in Dynasty ranking and has since plummeted.
Yeah, I don't know, Seth. I think he's pretty legit. Route running, ability after the catch, at the catch point, he's really good. And, he's done it Early on, he did it with Mike Evans there. Now he's doing it with Chris Godwin there. It'll be interesting when both Evans and Godwin are around. I'm not concerned about it. Like, I think the concern would be for those guys and not for Emeka Egbuka. I think he's the best receiver on their team now. And that probably includes the older version of Mike Evans. If it was the vintage Mike Evans, maybe we couldn't say that. But the late stage Mike Evans, yeah, I mean, I think Egbuka is the real deal.
Yeah, I'm certainly with you, Pat. And, you know, I'm not surprised. I am surprised that he's risen up this quickly, but he was my wide receiver too in the 2025 class coming in. Just such a polished prospect overall, man. He can do everything from intermediate routes to short stuff. He can take the top off of defense as well, and just seems like a great overall teammate and a guy whose football IQ is well beyond his years. So if you have Emeka Egbuka, enjoy it while you can. And also, speaking of a couple rookie wide receivers and a receiver who maybe disappointed in his sophomore year so far, I want to talk about the Jaguars wide receivers here, BTJ and Travis Hunter. BTJ was our Dynasty wide receiver 6 in the preseason. Now Dynasty wide receiver 14 on the chart after starting the season as wide receiver 40 through 5 weeks. No games above 12 PPR points. Also a slow start for Travis Hunter out of the gates, but he is starting to play more in most of those wide receiver 3 sets that we're seeing from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And at the same time, he took his first few snaps in 2 wide receiver sets on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs in week 5. Still just wide receiver 63 through 5 weeks, but now we just got news right before we went live here, Pat. Brenton Strange on the IR for a couple weeks. So is this maybe a potential opportunity to get invested with these Jaguars pass catchers if you don't already have them in Dynasty leagues?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with trading for BTJ. I think he is going to bounce back. There were some weird issues. I think he's still maybe been bothered by this wrist injury, and that might explain why he was a little reluctant, shying away from contact in some cases, and maybe not as eager to go over the middle as he was last year. Because, like, we didn't see any of this last year. And he played through a chest injury that would have had a lot of other guys sitting out. Like, his toughness is not to be questioned, but maybe he was playing hurt. And I think he's going to be just fine. We're starting to see him come back a little bit. Part of it is he kind of clicked with Mac Jones better than he clicked with Trevor Lawrence last year. And based on what we saw last week with Mac Jones and his leading the 49ers to the upset over the Rams, like maybe Mac Jones is just a better passer than Trevor Lawrence right now, as strange as that is to say. So still, though, I think Brian Thomas is ultimately the same guy that we saw kind of dominate as a rookie. So if you can trade for him low, I recommend that. Hunter, I'm not as sure about, and it's just what I feared all off season has kind of come to fruition. He's not playing full-time wide receiver snaps. Like, he had his highest snap count of the season in that game against the Chiefs on Monday night, 67.2%. So basically 2/3 of the snaps. You just can't be consistently impactful in fantasy if you're playing 2/3 of the snaps. You're just not going to get the target volume you need. You know, like most receivers are, the top receivers, 90+% snap shares. And Travis Hunter snap shares consistently between like 52% and 67%. So that's a problem. He's played as many as 43 defensive snaps. Actually played 43 defensive snaps in 2 different games this year. So yeah, I mean, this is what I feared, and it just seems like they don't always have a great plan for him offensively either, which is strange because, like, I really respect Liam Cohen and think he's one of the best offensive choreographers in the game, but it's just funny. They didn't seem to know exactly what they wanted to do with Travis Hunter on offense before they traded up to take him with the 2nd pick of the draft.
Yeah, they certainly rehearsed their promos they were going to cut post-draft. The young GM there, Gladstone did, but maybe just weren't prepared to know how to work him in here. I think there's still a chance that Travis Hunter becomes a difference maker for fantasy leagues down the stretch here. But like you said, it's going to really take him to force Parker Washington and Diami Brown, once he comes back, out of that wide receiver 2 flanker role in those 2 sets. That's what I think it's going to take. We'll see if we get that. it is a risk right now. I do think if you are trading for Travis Hunter in Dynasty redraft, I think float out the buy low offer, but in Dynasty, you're still going to be paying somewhat of a pretty penny because people paid that in their leagues. But yeah, very interesting here with the Jaguars. Maybe still a buy low opportunity though, as you mentioned on BTJ. Last wide receiver here, Quentin Johnston. We have to mention him, like better late than never, right? Because probably could have gotten him as a throw-in in trades earlier this year, and he's now the Dynasty wide receiver 30 according to the trade value chart after starting the season out, averaging 17.4 fantasy points per game through 5 weeks. Pat, is this a sell high opportunity, though, if you are a QJ manager, or did it just take a couple seasons for this relatively raw prospect coming out of TCU? He didn't have anything near a NFL-style quarterback or NFL-style offense that he was dealing with down there in Sonny Dykes' system.
If you are selling, Seth, I think you're selling because of the target competition and not because you're worried about Quentin Johnston reverting to the old Quentin Johnston. Like, he looks confident catching the ball now and seems to be doing it with better technique than he was showing in his first couple of years in the league. So with the hands problem out of the way, that is allowing him to flash what made him such a special prospect, is that size speed combination. Like, once you get the ball in his hands, I mean, he is just a monster to try to bring down. So that's looked pretty good, and they have been getting the ball in his hands. He has been earning nearly as many or as many targets as Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey, more than Ladd McConkey so far. So that's good. There are going to be weeks when it's those other guys more than QJ, and we saw that, I think, for the first time in week 5, where he was kind of a little bit more of an afterthought. But an offense that's passing more than we thought it would, he's getting more work than we thought he would, and he seems to have solved his hands issues and now looks like the player we thought he was going to be. So I totally agree with the new ranking.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the tight ends quickly here before we get to everyone's questions over on the Discord side. It has looked like Tyler Warren's world as far as the rookie tight ends go for the Colts. He is up to tight end 3 in the chart, tight end 3 on the season as well, 13.3 fantasy points per game, used very creatively here in this Shane Steichen offense. Colston Loveland, the Chicago Bears first round pick, down to tight end 7, only played in 3 games, but did just total 3 receptions, 43 yards in those 3 contests. Of course, Cole Kmet still running some routes there as well, which is pushing his target and snap share down quite a bit. And then Harold Fannin Jr. up 9 spots from his preseason ranking up to tight end 8 on the chart right now, tight end 15 in scoring, averaging 8.9 fantasy points per game. How do you assess these rookie tight ends, and are you willing to go buy them at their peak, or is it just one of those situations, hey, you might have just missed out on a really good crop of pass-catching tight ends?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be hard to try to buy Warren. I think you could buy Loveland because maybe some of his, maybe some of the people who drafted him are a little disenchanted with the role. And just as he was starting to maybe get a little bit of uptick in usage, he got this hip injury, minor, but just enough to kind of slow the momentum for him. So I don't know if Loveland is really going to get it rolling this season to the point where you feel really good about having him in your lineup the way you do with Tyler Warren right now. But I do still think Colston Loveland is got a bright future in Ben Johnson's offense. Like, this is going to work out. It just might take some time. Tyler Warren, love what he's done, and he hasn't bowled us over totally with the target figures yet. In fact, they've actually been going down a little bit. He had 9 in his first game, only 15 combined over his last 3 games. But man, he's been really efficient with the targets. He's averaging 9.9 yards per target this season, which is phenomenal for a tight end. That's good for a wide receiver, let alone a tight end. They're using him as a runner. They're using him as a passer occasionally. They're doing all the gadgety stuff that they did with him, as you know, Seth, as a Penn State guy at Penn State. And he's also a former high school quarterback, so they know he can throw an option pass if you want him to. But yeah, it's been fun to watch him. And like, scary thing is, I mean, I think there's more that we have not seen from him yet. Like, the target counts have been modest, like a few more targets here and there, and look out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw him. He got a toss in the backfield, and he actually, I don't know if it was a design throw, but he threw it out of bounds. Very high IQ play there as well. So love what we've seen from Tyler Warren. Harold Fannin continuing to trend up as well, and maybe a good opportunity to buy Colston Loveland low. Last thing here on the trade value chart, I want to talk 2026 versus 2027 picks, because we actually have the cost of early 2027 picks higher than 2026 picks currently, Pat, and that's pretty unusual, just because we usually want what we can have as soon as possible. But there's no sugarcoating that this entire 2026 class has been somewhat underwhelming this season in the college football streets, specifically at quarterback. Cade Klubnik has been a disaster. He doesn't even look like he might be, fit into day 2 on the draft. Lenora Sellers, big disappointment for the mobile quarterback down there in South Carolina. Drew Allard, Arch, if he was even coming out at all, he has looked terrible, kind of somewhat banged up maybe too. Like, you name them, they've pretty much all disappointed. And you look at the best running back in the country right now, well, it's an underclassman. Missouri's running back Ahmad Hardy. So the 2 best wide receivers also in that 2027 class, pretty much down there in college football, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. So Pat, is that why you're higher and the staff as a whole is higher on these 2027 picks than 2026 picks at this point?
Yes. So right now it's looking like 2026 is just a bad class. I don't know that there's any other way to say it. And I'm sure we're going to, I won't even say fall in love with, I'll say fall in like with from this 2026 class. But man, I don't know if there are any guys who I would consider to have a good shot at stardom right now. There will be stars who emerge, but I can't peg the future stars in the class of 2026. Class of 2027 is littered with future stars. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, Dylan Ryle, the list goes on. It's just going to be this star-studded class. So yeah, I think those picks, I mean, we might 2027 second round picks more than we like 2026 first round picks. So yeah, sacrifice the year and consider that if you're selling and looking for future assets. Unfortunately, kind of everyone knows this, but they might not even know the extent. Everyone knows the 2027 class is going to be really good. I think most dynasty managers are aware of that. I'm not sure dynasty managers realize just how bad this class of 2026 is going to be. I don't know if there are any. We thought it might be good at quarterback, Seth. I mean, which quarterback are you excited about? I think I like Fernando Mendoza of Indiana about as much as I like anyone right now.
Yeah, it's probably Mendoza. If John Mateer gets back healthy, he was on a really good pace. I think he has a little bit of raw Josh Allen to his game. Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State, I think he's on track to probably be the wide receiver 1, currently leading the Big 12 in receiving yards. I do like your guy Elijah Sarratt up there too, out of Indiana, but it's shallow, man. It's very shallow as compared to last year. We were already talking about, oh my God, Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, Egbuka. We could see these guys, starting to mold their path towards an NFL future. Just doesn't seem that way right now, unfortunately.
I know, it's sad. It's we're gonna have to manufacture excitement when we start talking about prospects in early 2026.
Yes, absolutely. But still some time before then. And if you guys need to evaluate trades with confidence, use the FantasyPros Trade Analyzer. You can instantly see the impact of trades on your team and get expert recommendations, whether you're making a 2-for-1 deal or swapping a couple draft picks for that stud who will help you win now. The Trade Analyzer has you covered to help you optimize your roster and make smarter decisions. Try the Trade Analyzer today at fantasypros.com/myplaybook and dominate your league. That is going to do it for us on this episode of the Trade Block on the Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast. A huge shout out to everyone who's riding with us on the YouTube channel or the audio feed. Please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also, make sure you're joining the Fantasy Pros Discord community at fantasypros.com/chat and come be a part of the next show. For Pat Fitzmaurice, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.